Good morning, you're most welcome for today's edition of the Kokoliriko Live Show with me, Farish Majid, and today is the 19th and it's a Friday, the month of January 2024 is the year that we are already into, and the days, I must tell you, are running so fast, and this should go as a warning to those who are intending to actually go back to school and those parents also who are already preparing to also send back their children, and that should be an indication to you that very soon the children will be going back. And indeed yesterday really it was a quite a sad day, that is for the people of northern Uganda at large, and most especially for people of Lango sub-region and in Dokolo particularly, where they did lose the member of parliament, the woman representative of parliament there. So that is Honorable Cecilia Ogwal. Really that is a sad one there for people of this region, because she is one of those ladies who has been there really for raising our flag that high as a member of parliament, both that is in parliament and at the region, and that is where we are going to really also going to be talking very much about her and who exactly she is and what we shall also miss her for, and maybe some of her last moments and what she said and things that happened here and there, and that is where we shall be able to also let you know of who exactly Honorable Cecilia Ogwal was really, and that is why you must also get set and really stay tuned, and that is to the Kokoliriko Live Show from this hour of the morning till the hour of 9 a.m. and after 9 a.m. we shall be having the news bulletin in Lubarati, that is with the Mukulia Lawrence. So I think it is very, very much important for you to be a part of the show. So I think other than that, we have also so many other issues that may arise, and we are going to also be talking about the protest that is by the political opposition leaders who did stage a protest here and there in Kampala, where we also did see it starting to spread in the other parts of the country also, where we have seen it spread up to Jinja, and we shall also be letting you know. And this protest as a result of the poor status of the roads, according to the groups, they are saying really the people of the country have been put aside, and instead of really using monies that have been spent on catering for these dignitaries and people being pushed away from the roads, yet our roads are really in their status, and instead of also these people using these good roads, they should have also used these bad roads. And this is what the people are saying. We shall also going to be giving you all those. And as I did say, the days are running very, very fast there, and UNEB has already issued a guideline on when the primary leaving examination results will also be released, and that is something also really I will be able to also let you know of, and maybe so many other stories, and not forgetting the ex-NSF boss Jamwa, who was released yesterday, who actually came out to laud the president. And this has also received both good and mixed reactions from the members of the public, and I will also be letting you know of maybe what other members of the public are saying, and more so these are the law people, what are they saying about this release, because really the man was serving that is a 14-year jail term, but he has been pardoned by the president using his powers, and he is not alone. He is also with other people, when one of these people actually dominated people of the defilement cases. So what does that mean? And that is something really we are also going to be really talking about here and there. And remember, these political leaders, as I told you earlier on, they are under house arrest, and what are they saying and what are their families saying? That is something really you should be part of. And remember, so many things are still being said, even stretching way back to West Nile sub-regions in the education sector still. The Honorable Minister Moriku Kadijku, the State Minister for Primary Education, has also called upon the Pov Moyo district to start encourage. She has actually encouraged the Pov Moyo sub-region to start taking up their children and also enrolling into schools within the district. But what is the capacity of the schools? How are the performances? How can we change everything? How can we stop moving their children from the districts of West Nile to the other parts of the region? That is something also we are going to be discussing with you. That is from this hour up the hour of 9 a.m. Do not move away from your station. Just stay tuned to West Nile Television as we start off your day with the Kokoliriko Live Show, where we give you updates and insights to also let you know of what is happening. And remember now to start off the discussion with that is Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, who died yesterday at the age of 77. The shocking news about the death of Honorable Barbara Ogwal, the Dokolo woman in parliament, circulated across all media platforms yesterday, and this was in the morning shortly after the show. That's around after 9 a.m. This is when the news actually broke out, and really it is quite sad there for the people of this region, for the people of Dokolo, and for the people of northern Uganda at large. Cecilia 77 breathed her last on Thursday morning, which was yesterday in India, after a short illness, which is said to be cancer, according to close sources, where she had been rushed for better medication. Cecilia, commonly known as the Iron Lady and voice of the voiceless, her death comes as a big loss, that is to the people of of northern Uganda, West Nile, actually all the parts, because really she has been that one leader that you identify northern Uganda with. Really, if you really talked about Cecilia Ogwal in this country, then somebody will definitely know, yes, she is a northerner. People really did not actually talk much about her being from Lango. They were actually putting her as a symbol of that is northern Uganda. So I think that is really a big loss to this nation, and really to this region at large also, really, as people of this lead, because she has been one of those longest serving legislators, and really who is Cecilia Ogwal, that is something definitely we also need to know. Cecilia Ogwal was born in the Kokoliriko district, Lango sub-region, northern Uganda. That was on June 12th, that is 1946, and she attended to schools within this country, and she was able actually to get admission into Gayaza High School, one of the giant single-sex schools in the country, due to her courage and bravery of excelling in mathematics, a subject that is presumed to be feared by most ladies. Really, that is one thing that you cannot really leave out if you are to talk about her profile, because mathematics really is one subject that this lady was identified with. So I think really that is something that we also need to also let you know of, and this is evident by her participations in math contest, where she emerged victorious in so many of these contests. Remember, mathematics contests are held, and over the country, really, schools and students who are brilliant in this subject have to go and participate in this contest, where really they are winners. So I think she has been part of that. And in 1967, at the age of 21, she was admitted to the University of East Africa in Nairobi, commonly known as University of Nairobi. So I think that is where the disagreements came in, for where this also led her to move away from there. Now, in 2011, Ogwal contested and won the women's representative seat for the newly created Dokolo district, and this time she switched political parties and ran as a member of that is a member of the Forum for Democratic Change, and this is, I think, where her death found her. So I think she has been serving as a member of parliament, that is since 1996, making her one of the longest serving members of parliament, that is the August. She was the first runner-up in the first ever 1969 Miss Uganda beauty pageant, as opposed to what most journalists actually reported, where most of them declared her as the winner, which is not the case. But really, I must tell you that she was the runners-up, and this was really, she actually came out and talked about this recently in one of the interviews on one of the local ladies who go into these pageants. Also, what can you copy from this lady's character? Moving away from that, really, what can you copy? And this should also not go to these people who are in the limelight alone. Even the musicians also, really, you could actually move away from what you're doing currently right now and change career, because really she was able to change her identity, that is from this beauty content. And really, sometimes also what we know these people for is not the right thing. And really, one thing also really we need to know about her family life now is she was married to, that is Lamek Ogwal, where they had 7 children. These were children to whom she gave birth, and so many others who were depending on her. So I think that is something also really you cannot really live about her. And remember, yesterday so many people flocked the home of this late, and this is in Bugolobi. Among those who were seen entering her home is the Right Honorable Speaker of Uganda, that is Anita Among, together with the team of other legislators who really flocked the home. And she actually said this, and she actually said a lot about this lady, where she did talk about her being the mentor. So I think that is something really also we cannot leave out, and really also we cannot exclude about her. And that is the little, really the brief we can talk about Cecilia Ogwal, the Iron Lady, commonly known as, really, where she has been eloquent, she has been dedicated, she has been one of those brave and most admired politicians that is in the whole of this country. I must tell you, Cecilia Ogwal is one name that you cannot leave out when it comes to Ugandan politics, because given the fact that she was in that house for all these years, way back 1996 up to 2023, where death found her, because she was still continuing, and that means she was still continuing to serve the people of this nation. And that is really something that we must also ensure that we also admire from her. And maybe at the end of the day also we shall be able to pick up a leaf from there. And remember, somebody's experience could actually act, maybe also bring fortunes to you, because sometimes also people's experiences that we watch or we listen to or we interact with, that is why they always say associate yourselves with the right people, because they are the ones that will give you the right guidance. If your friends are thieves, then definitely you are going to become a thief, because if you stay with thieves, in Africa for us we say you're a thief. And that is why it is very, very much important really to also ensure that we get to associate ourselves with right people. And that is why we also need to really also copy good things about people here. And that brings us really to a question: what do you really miss about this lady that is common known as the Iron Lady, the voice of the voiceless, as described by so many people? That is who Cecilia Ogwal, who actually stretched from, that is Miss Uganda runners-up, into Parliament, and really where she stood firm and really also laid her grounds and really worked against certain laws where she will, for which she will be remembered really. And that is something also you must also admire from. And this business lady was actually one lady that we must say has done her part, must have done her part, because her efforts must be filled. So I must ask also this question to you: what will you really remember her for, and what do you know about her? And feel free really to drop your comment on our comment section there. For those of you watching us on Facebook, I will be able to share with the rest of the viewers. So for those of you who are watching us on YouTube also, likewise, you can as well drop your comments there. For now, really allow me run in for a short breather, and when I return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversion from there. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back to the Kokoliriko live show with me, Farish Majid on West Nile TV. That starts every Mondays to Fridays, and today is Friday, which means it is our last day for the week, and we shall be able to also bounce back. That is on Monday, and in a special way I want to welcome you on board, all those who started with me right from the time we began till this hour of the morning. I must say it's a great pleasure having you on board, really being part of this show. So I think it is very much important and very much eminent to also really ensure that you be part of the show, that is every morning, so that you get updated of what is happening in and around the world. And this is for those who are watching us from overseas, and with that really I want to recognize whoever is watching us that is overseas, and my brother that is Bobbin Ernest Bernardino, you are streaming us within the country. Thank you so much. I also do have Edmond Auxiliary. That name is a very difficult one, Auxiliary, really. That okay. Anyway, we also want to thank you so much, and not forgetting Mahad Rashid all the way from that is Abu Dhabi, that's in Saudi Arabia. We also want to recognize you for watching us. That is on Facebook. And remember, just like this, you can also let me know where you are watching us from, and that is something that also we shall be able to really discuss here and there for us to let you know of what is happening. And if you also feel that there's something that you feel you would want us to talk about, then also let us know. And remember, the first half of the first hour we did discuss a lot of issues that is in relation to the death of Cecilia Ogwal, really, whom we did lose yesterday to cancer. Really, cancer is making people lose lives in numbers here and there. And recently, where we did also lose, that is one of the prominent business persons within this region, the owner of Nile Star Buses, and his dua, actually last funeral prayers will be held today. That is at Aro Primary School playgrounds, and still he also lost his life to cancer. And really, cancer is becoming another thing. Maybe the medics also need to do something about cancer, really. That is where we shall be able to maybe avoid people's lives being lost here and there, because most of these people actually have been taken away. Really, once they're moved out of this country, they just return in coffins. What does that mean, really? That is something that I must also really condole with the relatives of these people. Really, cancer, once we're taking them out, we expect better medical care. But once we also once we lose them from those ends, it also really makes it very difficult for us to understand. So I think really the medics need to do a lot when it comes to undertaking innovations, maybe to find the medicine for that is cancer, because really cancer is becoming another thing, and that is why so many people nowadays even fear cancer more than another thing. And that is why also people nowadays say they do not fear HIV, which I must tell you is very wrong. We must fear HIV because it is also one disease that is killing so many people. And really, once people start saying that I better die, I better fear cancer, I don't fear HIV, and then you live a reckless life, then definitely it will not be really quite good for you there. And remember, yesterday also we did witness that is the protest by the opposition leaders. This is against the government, and this actually did take place in several streets of that is in central Uganda, more so Kampala, where we did see people planting banana plantation stems, and where we did also see vehicles carrying these banana stems and being planted on these potholes. And then if you look at this country's roads today, most of them are actually in dire status. And this is not only in central region, this is not only in eastern, this is not only in western, this is not only in West Nile, this is in the entire country. Most of these roads, due to the prolonged rain, I believe, has actually worsened the prolonged rains that we had as a result of the climate change. Today we are seeing so many of our roads are now in bad status. If you look at the road, actually I must give an example with the road that has just been cleared for, that is upgrade, the road that connects, that is Yumbe, Moyo, Koboko, that to Obongwi. So this road has really been so bad. So I think so many things are being said about this road. If you remember, during the rains, this road became impassable. More so, it became flooded for the vehicles to move, and this actually affected trade, where people had to take more days than expected. And now this road has been cleared for upgrade. We are waiting to see, because unlike this road, there are so many of these roads have actually been cleared for upgrade, but nothing has been done up to now. Really, the roads have remained the way they are. And if you look at the road that is between Onduparaka to Lia, I think this road that connects us to DRC, and actually these roads that we are talking about are actually roads that could drastically improve on trade. And we are talking about trade, really, as a nation, we are talking about trade, but the roads are still very bad. If you look at the roads that connect these two countries, actually, this road that I did mention to you is actually one that is connecting to DRC, and then the one for, that is Koboko to Yumbe, connecting up to that is side of Moyo. This is also another road that could actually shorten the distance that is to our neighbors, South Sudan. Remember, this is something that we are also talking about, and we did see these riots that took place in Kampala spreading to the other parts of the country. So we have seen it happening in Jinja, where people are planting banana stems. Now in this Western sub-region where we do not have enough banana stems, I don't know what we shall plant if in case such issues arise in this region, which of course I'm not propelling you into doing, but I must, that is something I do not know. This is also something that we are going to be following up on and letting you know of what maybe could have happened. That's why. So I think the situation at Dr. Besje and Dr. Lukwaga's home was not different from that is of Chagulanyi's residence in Magere. So likewise, he was also put under house arrest. But we saw a video of him walking on the streets, calling these people to really come and really get involved in this demonstration, which is peaceful, by planting banana stems on the streets, where we did see this take place in several streets, that is in Kampala. But really, this also did spread to the other parts of the region. We did see it going up to Jinja. Are we expecting it to move to the rest of the parts of the country? That is something really I do not know, but I'll definitely really also keep you informed of what may arise. So I think it is very, very much important also to really let you know that this is happening, and at the wrong time, where we have guests, where we have so many heads of states flocking each and every time. And remember, today this NAM summit is actually still continuing on. It's still going on, and we are still seeing so many leaders. Yesterday we did have another meeting that is quite important, where the president actually did talk about it. So this is where we did have these issues, where we are talking about so many countries really having grievances here and there. Now we have so many of our countries are now having problems that is within themselves, and really we also, despite us having these international conferences here and there, really yesterday the president of Uganda, that is His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, did say something that having ideological illiteracy is what is contributing to Africa's problems. So I think this is what the wise man said. I don't know how true that statement is really, but we are also going to be letting you know of what exactly really happened during that meeting there, that is to resolve, that is the conflict between that is Somalia, and we also to talk about the war that is in Sudan, which has actually claimed a number of lives and leaving so many properties destroyed, and leaving so many people of that nation also to flee their country for other countries. So I think that is something also really you will be able to get to know of. So I think it is something that we also must let you know of. And that is something also really we are not going to leave out. And this is why the Kokoliriko live show comes your ways every Mondays to Fridays. And it is there really to also keep you informed and be in the know of what is happening. Remember, these protests, these people are staging. They say they are peaceful. They're not going to really involve destroying property here and there. But you really know what comes with these demonstrations. In most cases, they come with their negative repercussions, such as looting of property by these young boys who are in most cases under possession of drugs. They also really negatively contribute to us looking at these demonstrations as something bad, because they are engaged in that is looting of property, for instance, grabbing people's property, stealing them, which is very, very wrong. So I think I must also really condemn this, and we are really following up on that issue, and we shall be able to also let you know of what is happening. So I think that is something I must also not leave out. Remember, as I told you, the G77 plus China summit, which commenced, that is on 15th, are still running on, and that is till the 20th, and that means that we are remaining with 2 days to the closer of that is the non-aligned movement summit that is taking place in Kampala right now, where so many dignitaries are in attendance. Where we did see so many leaders, that is the president, for instance, the president of Central African Republic, that is Faustin Achange Taudore, entering Uganda to participate in the ongoing, that is non-aligned movement summit, plus so many other heads of states who did really also appear for that summit there. And remember, yesterday also, so many of these things are saying, and this event is actually held under the theme "Leaving No One Behind." The Third South Summit looks to bring in new dynamic to the cooperation among its 135 member states of the Group 77. So that is what is coming up with the G77, and with the poor performance of the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, and debt and funding likely to top the agenda. And most of the discussions yesterday actually were in relation to the debt payment. Remember, we as most African states have huge debt burdens. So if you look at Uganda, it is at 97 trillion, which is really quite huge there. So I think unlike Uganda, the government of Uganda actually did recently come out and say that this money is sustainable. The Ugandan government is still capable of refunding back these loans. So these loans come with their interest. I do not know how long when it takes, and then maybe how much the interest will become also. That is something that we also did witness the leaders actually dialoguing very much on yesterday, because African states, I must tell you that most of them are actually still very much swimming in poverty, and maybe also this could be as a result of the debt burden, and that is something that we watch, which was also very much discussed here and there. And the slow implementation of the SDGs is a major concern. That is something that also really was raised yesterday. And if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, one of them is actually ending poverty, and poverty still remains very much in this country. I don't know how much we are into that. Remember, these Sustainable Development Goals, we are actually, some of them we are to be achieved by 2040, and really if you look at 2040, it is not very far. It is not very far, because really to achieve these things calls for collective efforts. And Sustainable Development Goals, actually one of its mandate goals was to end, that is ensuring that there is no poverty. So I think it is very much important for people to actually be in the know of what is happening in their country, so that we move away from poverty, because poverty really remains a great challenge. And this is something that these leaders actually also raised as a concern for staging their protests, because they said the Ugandan government has neglected, that is, the priorities of the citizens, but rather it's concentrating on the international events. So I think it is concentrating more on foreigners than that is the citizens, and this is why these opposition leaders actually came out to really also stage their protests, because they complained about the roads. If you look at the roads where these guests are moving, so many of these peasants are not allowed to move on. And if you look at what is happening in those sense, if you look at these urban centers, most of the population is actually the poor. Most of them are very poor, because they live behind the bar line, and they are the majority. That is why when the elections happen, you also see them massively coming out to vote, because they want, sometimes they want change, they want services. So I think it is one reason sometimes also we are seeing people getting involved in this riot. So I think that is something also really we cannot exclude out as a factor, maybe that could be contributing to the wrangles that we did see yesterday, the protests that are ongoing. But really, these leaders that are under arrest, we also really expect them to address these issues, maybe once they step out and really also use the various platforms, maybe parliament, which makes the laws, maybe also which allocates the resources. They could actually really also use the parliament. If you look at NUP, they are the majority opposition group that is in parliament. Their leaders could actually really also use better means to ensure that they address certain issues rather than coming out on the streets, and which would also really have devastating impacts on the people's lives. So I think that is something really also I must also let you know of, because once this is not addressed, these issues will continue, and they will be able to also really have negative impacts on this country. So I think that is something that I must also not exclude out. That is something very much important. So I think moving away from that, so many things are still moving on. Yesterday I did talk to you about the ex-NSF boss being pardoned by the president, which has again received mixed reactions. That is from the members of the public. The former National Social Security Fund Managing Director, that is Mr. David Chandi Jamwa, who had been on remand, that is for 12 years in sentence in Luzira for causing financial loss, has lauded President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for pardoning him and 12 others, mostly defilers, saying he was head over heels after his release. The president used his prerogative of mercy powers given to him under the constitution to pardon the convicts majorly on health and humanitarian grounds. So I think that is the reason what the president used as a result, maybe to pardon these people. Jamwa really, if you really remember, NSSF, this story happened, I think, way back in 2011, where he had been sentenced as he was on his way, and I think to Kenya, and this is where he was arrested. So in his exercise of the power vested in him under Article 121, subsection 1 of the Constitution, that is of the Republic of Uganda 1995 as amended, on the advice of the Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy, I hereby grant pardon to the persons below on grounds of public health and humanitarian grounds. That is read in part of the instrument pardon. That is what the President actually really also bases arguments on. After his release on Thursday, which was yesterday, Mr. Jamo told journalists at Luzira prisons in Kampala that the news about his pardon caught him by surprise, meaning he wasn't really expecting him to be released, and according to him, the news really came to him as a serial, and it came as a surprise, but who found out that prerogative had been exercised, we could really only be grateful. I think being in prison is really something that we must also really protect ourselves from. So I think if we really do not really protect ourselves and ensuring that we move away from cases of going into prison, then definitely we shall be able to land there, which may also not be good. So I think prison is not a place for resting. It's not a place to really to be in, because for those who have been into it, they will really tell you that it is a very, very bad place. But for most government agencies really include, that is Vincent Talley, Nelson Drabo, James Omirambe, that's Samuel Aliama, Francis Leku, Joseph Kabila, Yoha Aitia, common known as Samuel, Fred Kato, and Jackson Owino. Some of these names sound West Nile. Why am I thinking about this? If you look at names like Drabo, this is a name from here, but so many of these people were actually really arrested for defilement charges. So really, we must condemn that, because really, if we get involved in defilement, where we get really also cases of people really getting involved in this accident, it is very, very much bad for us to actually continue being part of it, because defilement is something that is against our laws. Really, that is something really I must also caution you about, and we must desist from as people of these nations. Other than that, we may also land ourselves into problems. And remember, this is still the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV that comes your ways every Mondays to Fridays. And my name is Farish Majid, and we are going to be running for a short commercial breather. And when we return back, we shall be able to also really expound on some of these topics that we have discussed, and also give you more of the updates. For now, it's a short commercial break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that short commercial break, and we are still continuing with you. This is the Kokoliriko live show. It's just a minute after 8 a.m. and in case you're just joining us right now, you're most welcome aboard. This is the Kokoliriko live updates show on the mornings every Mondays to Fridays with me, Farish Majid, and this is where we give you insights onto some of the stories that may be happening in and around the region and the world at large. So I think it is very, very much important for you to be updated through the Kokoliriko live show every mornings, where we shall let you know of what is happening. And also on the same show, we bring guests sometimes to also really analyze on some of the topics that may be trending on the nation. So I think in the nation, that is why it is very, very much important for you to always be part of the show. So I think really it is very, very much important. We did discuss a lot of issues here and there in the first hour. That is ranging from the death of that is Cecilia Girl, whom we lost yesterday, and we are still mourning. That is with the people of Lagos region, because we are one. We are all Northerners, and we are all Ugandans, and that makes us one, because she was serving the people of this country. She was not only serving the people of Dokolo. She was not only meant for the people of Dokolo alone, but she was for the rest of us as Ugandans. So I think it is very, very much important also really to recognize the efforts. So I think we did discuss that. We also did discuss the ex-boss. That is actually where we headed into the break. The ex-NSF boss who came out to laud, that is the president of Uganda, for pardoning him and 12 others, really, which has also not been received very well. That is by a section of the legislators who have said this may undermine, that is the judiciary. But how do you really think about it? Because these are the laws. And that is where we also sometimes express worries with the laws, because we are now seeing people complaining about the laws. That doesn't mean that people are really not understanding the laws. That is something I do not know, because I'm not a law person, but really I must tell you, lawyers, most of these are human rights activists, and lawyers are bitter with the presidential decision to pardon, that is 11 defilement convicts and another on manslaughter. They urge that even when the Supreme Law under Article 121 mandates the president, they fear this could undermine the purpose of imprisonment that is aimed at deterring crime. So they also fear the decision could further traumatize victims' view of Uganda prisons. So I think disagree with this. So I think really somebody who was sentenced to 11 years, because sometimes once this people are sentenced also, that is what the public wants. They do not actually want compensation, but they want this people to serve these victims more. So what does this really put this on? And this is where the human rights activists are basing their arguments, are saying really, despite him really also freeing these people, because after this they are going to move back to these communities, and some of these people actually committed some of these crimes from the communities where they come from. And how is the reception going to be like more so when these people have not actually fully served the sentences that they were actually to serve? I do not know really. Maybe that could actually result into another thing. We may also see another conflict emerging. So I think it is also very, very much good, because once these people are on remand, they are there for rehabilitation, to also really tell them that what they did was very, very wrong, and they need to move away from that. Really, that is something also really, I must tell you that we must also condemn in the strongest terms, because such crimes, really such heinous crimes, are never good, because they leave a negative impact. Because somebody really who is below 18 years, and you and as an adult, you are sleeping with them, what do you really enjoy in? So I think that is something also really we need to desist from. And remember, just this week, we did also have a teacher that is all the way from Mitiana, that is from one of the schools that is in Mitiana, who had gone to visit his student, and things did not go on very well there. So I think he was arrested, he was tortured, he was beaten, he was arrested, But according to the information that we got yesterday, he was released because really he had not defiled the girl yet. But what we saw, we know what he carried along himself. So I think from the videos that were circulated on social media, we were able to see this teacher here carrying, that is a box of certain items to really, I don't know for what use, where he had actually gone to visit his student. And on when he asked why he had visited, and I think the parents of these students maybe were very, very much vigilant, and they were able to really intercept this teacher in their house. And that wasn't something that really very, very good. And the teacher has now been trending with the student. They have been trending, that's on social media, for this bad, indecent act. Because as a teacher, really, sometimes also, we expect you to be exemplary. We expect you to lead by example. So something that is very, very bad. So I think we must also really move away from such issues, because as a teacher, and then definitely you a parent, that is something that we also need to really ensure that we move away from, because really defilement, the girl is actually below 18 years, but really he has been freed, because this received mixed reactions, because somebody was saying he has not done it, he has not committed the crime, maybe he can be charged for trespass, or perhaps, and he can be charged for defilement, but the intention was there, because really the machines that he carried along himself is enough exhibit that he was really going to do this. But the laws are very clear also, for any person to be charged, there must be penetration. So I think this did not take place, and this had not taken place, and that is why he has been actually freed. But I believe his reputation is now gone, because the teacher, besides being a teacher, he was an events MC. And he also he was a businessman making cakes, and actually the friends came out jokingly who had received him to say that he had gone to make a cake deal, not for any other business, but he had gone to make a cake deal. That is something that we do not know, because the information and the messages that were shared between the student and the teacher were actually leaked. We did see them actually talking about certain bad things here and there. And that is why we must desist and move away from that is issues of having relationships that is within our institutions. Even this institution not be within the schools alone. That is why it is not always good to really also be in the relationship with the people with whom you work, with people whom you serve. That is definitely something that we must really move away from and really also desist from. So I think as we are running out of the days, remember today is the 19th. That means that we are just remaining with a week and some few days for the learners to go back as per the Ministry of that is Education and Sports calendar. And the PLE results we are actually, according to the information we are receiving, are going to be released very soon. And that means that very soon the children will also be going back to school. And this comes to the parents, they will be able to also really look out for schools to take up their children. That is for the next level, that is secondary. So I think this is something that we cannot also really leave out behind, because this is a time where we are expecting people to get organized and where we expect the people to actually embrace schools. And this call was made by, that is, Honorable Moriku Kaduchu, the State Minister for Primary Education, who was in Moyo, and she actually called upon the people, the parents, and then the learners from that side actually to embrace the schools that is within the districts. But I do not know what capacity these schools hold, and this is where we are seeing at times when school is beginning, the bus parks are flooded by pupils and students from this region headed for other regions. And this is because maybe at times the schools that we have here do not produce the results. And remember, we have so many traditional schools that would actually really have an impact, and maybe if we supported them, this could actually really also support them. And if you talk about one of the schools that is in Moyo, you cannot exclude Metu SS. That is actually one of the traditional schools that has been there, but now so many things, due to so many reasons, the school is not performing. The numbers of the population of the learners has drastically reduced, and the performance as well has also gone down. So I think really we need to ensure that we support our schools. If you look at so many traditional schools that have gone down today, these were actually schools that we did use to attract so many people from those ends to here. Look, talking about schools like St. Joseph's College Ombachi, Mvareses, and St. Charles Luanga. These were the traditional schools, these were the giant schools.
Here to encourage our parents. I I stand here to tell you our origin, the schools where you are born. These are the schools that we are really encouraging our learners to be in. I'm encouraging us to promote and advocate for our schools in Moyo, schools within the region, schools where you are born, because there is a sense of belonging, there is a sense of attachment, there is a sense of really that this is where I am born, this is where I came from, and this is where I studied. So I'm encouraging parents, come release of results for 2020 PLE, please register your student as much as possible within the districts. It's our duty collectively to improve the quality of education within the district, within the region. It's our duty to improve the infrastructure. It's our duty to ensure the performance has improved within Moyo. And we cannot do that when we send the children out of the district, when we all rush to the traditional school, Namagunga, Namugongo, Gayaza, count them. And that is the only way, when we embrace the regional districts, the district schools, then that is how we can collectively improve the standards of our schools.
That is Honorable Kaduku Moriku, the State Minister for Primary Education, who is actually encouraging people of this region to take up their children to these schools that we have within the region. And she actually mentioned some of the traditional schools that have maintained the brand up to now, talking about schools like Gayaza, talking about schools like Namagunga, and how these schools have actually maintained it, in my own opinion, is through the OBs, the OGs and OBs who have supported their schools by taking their children to these schools, but which is not the same case with us today. As OBs and OGs, we want to move we want to show out that our schools are not performing and we are not supporting them enough. And we are seeing schools like that is Nyapea, St. Aloysius, Nyapea also not performing. These are schools that we are known. These are the traditional schools that we talked about. Even today, if we really support these schools, then definitely that will be able to also really have an impact on them. And I must also commend the OBs of that is St. Aloysius College, that is Nyapea, who are really doing a great job to see to that they revamp the academic and the lost glory of the school through supporting so many projects. I did see them recently donating books. I also did them going to their schools. We must go back as OBs, as OGs, really one thing that we can do to ensure that these schools actually get revamped and maybe also really also get the support that they want is actually to see to that we change the results that we have, because really our results are very, very much alarming. If you look at the government admissions that come from West Nile sub-region, I must tell you most of them are not from our schools. In most cases, actually, a school that is in Central Region outbids all the schools within the city, within the region, just from one school. That is in terms of government admissions, and that means that our schools are not really performing. And then definitely we must understand why this is happening, and that could actually help us draw solutions. Because once we do not draw solutions, once we continue talking about the poor performance of this region, and once we continue moving our learners out of this region to go and study in the other parts of the region, for instance, Central Region, this is where most of our learners are actually going to, and they get the results that we would actually be proud of from here, and they're the ones really raising the flags of certain regions high. So I think this goes back to the parents, this goes back to the learners. It is high time that we must embrace our own schools. It is very, very much important, because once we really do not actually ensure that we go to these schools, then they market learners, because numbers sometimes also play a great role that is in academics. So I think in most cases what we do is we move off the cream, because one time I was interacting with the officials that is from Yube District, that is the Education Department of Yube District. They actually came out and clearly told me that what parents of this side are doing is that they move the cream that would actually greatly improve the performance of this region to the other regions, and this is actually attributed to certain factors. And we have also seen these schools sometimes also coming for the cream of this region and giving them scholarships, and that goes back to the schools of this region also. And that means that we need to also really support our cream now, because once we are seeing schools coming from wherever they are to come and poach these learners who are bright, then definitely that will have a negative impact. That is when we shall continue talking about the poor performance of this region, and that is when we shall continue singing the same song, poor academics. So I think that is something that we must really also ensure that we talk about, because as West Nile Television, really, once the results are out and our schools do not perform very well, we are not happy about it. We are not happy about it, I must tell you, as a region. And that is when we shall also continue moving with our heads down. And other than that, we could actually move with our heads up. And if our learners performed very well, we will all be proud as a region, because once something is good from the region, it makes us all happy. But once the thing is very bad, we all carry the shame. One person was one time telling me, sitting for these exams is yours alone, but the result is for the community. And that is the truth. And this is where it comes in, because once you perform very well, we are going to be happy for you as a region. We are going to talk about you. We are going to actually give you gifts, and that is why we need to support our learners. We must tell them, but really sometimes also one factor that is making our schools not perform very well, because right now, really look at how our learners are. Most of them have actually forgotten that they are students, they are pupils, and they have forgotten that they need to actually go back to school. If you move these happening places, really, and you are to look at how these young boys and girls are dancing, then you must be actually worried, because these are the people who are going to be going back to school. And what are they carrying back to school? They're carrying back these rotten memories, which may actually keep on haunting them. So I think really, as parents, as education stakeholders, we have a role to play in terms of guiding these learners and telling them that really, we, as much as we have good schools in other parts of the country, we also have good schools here. And we could actually also ensure that we perform very well. And once we perform very well, it calls for all efforts, because somebody was telling me for a learner to perform very well, there are 3 stones. It is just like the stove for cooking that stands, our local stove, these traditional things for cooking, where they put 3 stones. One is the parent. Parents have great role in terms of supporting these learners here, because as a parent, it is your mandate to provide for the learners in terms of scholastic material, in terms of their necessary needs, upkeep. It is your mandate as a parent. And that does not only stop there. And this is where the problem comes in, because most of the times our parents only think, once I've provided to a child, it is over. That is it. I'm done with my part. I've paid the school fees, I've given him upkeep, I've bought for him everything, and that is it. That is not it, my brother. It is not it, my brother, my sisters. It is not the end. You have to keep on engaging the learners, really, and find out how they are performing in their schools, and what are they doing exactly to see to it that they perform very well, and also ensuring that how is their relationship at this school. So I think that is also something that parents need to do. And then to the teachers, it is very, very nasty when I was talking about how a teacher was almost, that is, defiling a student in Mitiana, which was quite wrong. Something I must say is not very, very good, because as a teacher, you act on all this. You are the parent of these learners here, because once you do not support these pupils, once you do not support these students, and once you become the perpetrators of going against these people's rights, then it becomes very, very much shaming, because really, we presume as a teacher, you are the parent of these learners. You are actually the guardian, because parents entrust you with the learners. But once we are seeing cases like what we did see happening in Mitiana, where a teacher, really, I must say that is quite very bad, and we expect the fraternity of the teachers also to act upon this teacher here, because that issue was really quite shaming. It's not the first incident where we're seeing this happening, but it is an act that is very, very much shaming, and for which we must condemn, and we must also move against, because really, if we do not continue talking about this incident, then definitely we are bound to be seeing so many of these cases, and we do not know where they will be able to lead to, because poor performance is one thing that we must really move away from. And for people of this region, we also need to really embrace our schools. It is high time that we support our schools. We have the good schools that are in this region. Talking about the traditional schools, we have quite many of them. St. Charles Long is there, St. Mary's the Jofe Girls, Moni Girls, Mvara SS, Aro Public, quite many others. Alosias Nyapea. All these are the schools that, if really we supported them very well, then the lost academic glory that we continue talking about, really, it could be rekindled. So I think this is something also I must tell you that we need to do as stakeholders, because we must support the schools, and one way we actually to support these schools is by taking our learners. And remember, I was talking to you about collective roles for the learners. Really, you are the owner of the paper. It is you who will have the name. It is you who will be able to present it for whatever opportunity that may arise. So I think it is very, very much important. As students, we also need to ensure that we act responsibly, and then we also ensure that we may be do the right things. That is why Honorable, that is Kokoliriko was calling upon people of this region to embrace their schools. I did tell you one of the traditional schools that I know of that is in Moyo is Metu SS. This is one school actually that when we are growing up, we used to hear very much about it, but today these schools are no more. We are not talking about them. One reason is actually, it is the reason of poor performance, and poor maybe also so many other factors, and so many factors could be contributing to this. We need to find out what is really not happening within these big schools. And you as the viewer, really, if you feel that there's something that maybe you think could be contributing to the fact that people do not want to embrace schools within the West Nile sub-region, then feel free to drop your comment, and I will be able to also share with the rest of the education stakeholders. And we look forward into continuing with this discussion, as very soon I will be able to really bring one of the education experts very soon to come and tell us what is really happening, to come and explain to us, because we are there to hold them accountable. And as stakeholders, as the fourth estate, one of our mandate is actually to hold those with the power on board. So I think it is very, very much important, where we look forward to actually bring education stakeholders for them to come and explain to us what are they doing, what is that thing that they're not doing to ensure that our schools perform. Because really one fact about our schools is that the poor performance is carrying away so many people, and so many people are now opting to actually move their learners away from this region to go and study in the other regions, something that I must say we must condemn. We must embrace our own schools, because our schools have collapsed. One reason for them to have collapsed is actually the fact that really we have not embraced them, we have not supported. Once you are empowered, definitely you have a part to play in ensuring that the schools perform. So I think it is very, very much important there for the schools also to ensure that they actually get the right support that they need. And with that, we are going to revamp the lost academic glory that we continue talking about. Remember, so many strategies have actually been laid by so many stakeholders to ensure that these academic glories that have been lost in most of these schools is revamped. If you are talking about schools like St. Joseph's College Ombachi, I was able to actually interact with so many of the OBs, of which I'm part of. So many of these strategies are being laid, and now so many things are being talked about here and there now to see to that the academic glory is revamped. And what the OBs are doing currently is supporting the school through all the activities. They are supporting the school. They have a role to play. And if this is not only within St. Joseph's College Ombachi, even if you look at Busoga College Muiri, so the OBs that side are also doing so many things to see that the school is maintained very well, the academic glory is kept. And also, even if you come back here still within West Nile sub-region, recently we did see the OBs of that is St. Aloysius College in Yapea going back to their school and analyzing what is not happening. And they have actually come up with so many strategies to see that their awards now, the OBs awards, and this is in most of the traditional schools have been able to interact with. And these are strategies actually to motivate the learners. And once these learners are not motivated, then definitely we shall be able to also see them not maintaining the academic glory that we continue talking about. Because really we are talking about academic glory, academics, which is really not making us very much proud as people of this region. If you look at these schools, really, if you move into them, most of them have actually dilapidated structures. And now, I must tell you, as OBs, you have a role to play. As stakeholders, you have to support the schools, because some of the, most times also, the resources that may be able to come from Ministry of Education may not be that enough. So it is you now, OBs, and all the other stakeholders to support these schools. And that is one thing that we did see at St. Joseph's College Ombachi. They are renovating, that is the refectory, that is where the students will be able to dine from. And we have also seen at St. Joseph, that is at Aloysius Nyapea, these are the two schools that have been able to follow so much. So I think we have also seen them going back with so many awards, awarding the learners, and that will be able to also improve, because this is able to improve on the population, and we have seen that drastically improving, and the population is now improving, and that is something that we shall also really keep you updated of, and we want to see how our learners will perform in the next 10 years. Maybe the strategy could be 5 years and 5-year term to see that there is a rise in the population, because one factor that has been dragging our schools is the aspect of population, because the schools have very, very small population that could also greatly impact on the academics. That is also greatly impacting on service delivery, because a population, a heavy population is an asset, because this is where the schools would be able to actually charge small amounts that would also support the school. But where the population is very much small, then definitely that would also not really support this, the academics. So I think leaving that aside and moving out from the issues of people needing to embrace their own schools within the region, and now we want to head to the national scene. A total of 149 illegal drug outlets have been closed by officials from the National Drug Authority. Remember, National Drug Authority has the mandate of ensuring that the drug safety is ensured in the country. So I think that is something that they need to do, because they have the part of licensing these drug shops and these drug outlets, and to ensuring that they live by the standards of Ministry of Health. So I think it is NDA that is supposed to do that, and with that really they have closed outlets the closed outlets were in 11 districts that in the region, among include Mbale City, Butaleja, Busia, Budaka, Palisa, Kapchora, Queen, Sironko, Bukuo, Mbale, and Bududa. I think these are eastern districts. These operations are within the eastern part of the region, and likewise we also expect this to be moved into the other parts of the region. More so West Nile, where these drug shops sometimes really dump their medical remains very badly, because really sometimes if you move, you see so many of these things being dumped without necessarily ensuring that the safety of the people is considered. And if you look at the public management order, this actually limits them in public health order. So I think all these things are there in place to ensure that these drug shops really do not have a negative impact on the people's lives. But in most cases where you see people really dumping these things, and then you see the syringes, you see bandages dumped in places, really it makes the place look awkward, which scares, which also poses a health risk. So I think these things need to be regulated, and that is why regulation is very, very much important. And recently the Arua City Authority did announce that they are going to close those drug shops that are not abiding by the Ministry of Health guidelines, which was also not received very well by some people, where we did see some of the people complaining. But with that really we must ensure that this is catered and this is fulfilled, and with that really that will also ensure the safety of the people. So I think the NDA head of enforcement, that is Samuel Kiomukama, said the affected drug outlets lacked qualifications and licenses as required by the law, and during the week-long crackdown, about 311 boxes of assorted medicines worth 80 million were impounded. The NDA regional manager, that is David Chikagwa, said the eastern region is characterized by smuggled drugs from neighboring Kenya, and that comes through the borders of Malaba, Busia, Ruakaka, and Buko. So we are talking about all these drug shops, which are really sometimes not abiding by the law, and we are talking about smuggled drugs. Remember, our drugs keep on flocking here and there. Even recently, we did have our drugs, that is from West Nile, really flocking to DRC. We have also in most cases seen drugs from other countries really finding their ways into this region, so which may also not be good, because some of these drug shops really are operated by people who are not qualified. And once these people, they are the ones running these drug shops, because really initially I believe for one person to have qualified to run these drug shops needed at least to be having a certificate that is nursing at least, or pharmacy. But in most cases we see these people, some of them are not people who did not qualify up to the senior 4 level, but we see them running the drug outlets and they're administering medicine, which is really quite wrong, and that also poses a risk threat to the lives of the citizens. And that is why it is very, very much important for the entity that is responsible for ensuring people's health undertakes this mandate of ensuring that the safety of the people. So I think it is very, very much important, and we shall be able to also keep on following up on that discussion and letting you know of what comes next. So I think it is very, very much important there, where you need to also really be part and be in the know of what is happening in and around the region. And those drug shops worth 80 million, and that is we are waiting to see where they will be able to go. Are they going to be banned? Because in most cases we have seen people banning these drugs. So I think that is something also really we must also ensure that we talk about. And remember, today the NAM presidents meet today to adopt final documents. This is something we cannot exclude, because really as people of this country. The NAM is taking place in our country. We cannot really exclude talking about NAM. Presidents who arrived by press time include President Ismail Omar Gule, that is of Djibouti, President William Ruto from Kenya, President Theodore Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, that's of Equatorial Guinea, and President Ranil Semengi, that is of Sri Lanka. The others include President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, the week-long non-aligned movement, that is of the 19th summit climaxes today, that's Friday, which is actually today, and we shall be able to also have another, that is the G7 7th summit, that will be able to run up to, that is also 23rd, because these events are still here. And recently I did talk to you about protests against these events, because people are saying their monies are being wasted into hosting these activities, yet our roads are really very, very much bad, and that is something the opposition leaders we are saying. So several presidents and heads of states of government and from the member states had by press time arrived in the country ahead of the Friday and Saturday meetings. Until yesterday evening, 28 presidents had confirmed attendance, with the majority expected to land, that is in the night. So I think we are still following up on this discussion. The non-aligned movement is still continuing. This is for the leaders actually to also ensure that they address issues that may be having impact on the nation. So I think the region and the bloc at large, and members East African community, we are having wrangles. We are tending to see issues of wrangles here and there between ourselves, and such engagements could actually be the solution for us to address these issues. But for now, really, allow me run in for another short commercial break, and this is the last one, and after that we shall be able to also come back and take you through up the hour, that's 9 a.m. and after 9 a.m. Mukulia Lawrence will be able to come through with the AOL as a news bulletin, and the team is well set to let you know of what is happening. So with that, really, allow me run in for a short commercial break. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from that short commercial break. This is still the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV that comes your ways every Mondays to Fridays with me, Farish Majid, from 7 a.m. till the hour of that is 9 a.m. And after 9 a.m. we pave way for the Elders and News team that is led by Mukulia Lawrence to also let you know of what is happening in the world of Elders, and that is for the people who understand the language. And this is my Ilubara speaking community. It is always very, very much important for you to be part of the news bulletin so that you also get to understand and have a feeling of the news in the language that you best understand. So in the first hour really we did discuss a lot of issues here and there, ranging from the death of that is one of the honorable MPs, that is Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, the woman member of parliament, that is for Dokolo, where we did tell you a brief biography about her and who, in terms of who exactly she is, where she hailed from and where she actually went to. So I think there were some of the schools, that is in terms of the schools, where we did talk to you about so many other things also and who exactly she was. And we also did talk about protests, that is by the opposition party leaders, and that is something also we did discuss extensively here and there with you. And for those of you who sent in your comments, I must say I appreciate them and I really welcome them every time, so that we also share the knowledge with the rest of the viewers. It is very, very much important to do that. So I think I must also commend you for that and for taking your part to watch West Nile Television, because we're here to enlighten the region. And one way we are going to enlighten the region is actually discussing issues that must have an impact on you as a society. And these are issues that affect us, ranging from the nation, that is the national level also, and that is why you must always be updated. And the Kokoliriko live show is actually there to do that for you, and you should always just stay tuned and watch us from wherever you are watching us from. And for those of you watching us from Zuku, the channel number is 0073, and we must say we thank you so much for watching us from that platform. And for those of you watching us from social media, and the channel number is the channel where you can actually access us from is West Nile TV. You can actually rush there and search out for that is the Kokoliriko live show, and you'll be able to watch us at any time and from anywhere of the part of the world. You will be able to clearly watch us from there. And really, for those of you watching us on YouTube, really we must say we very much appreciate you. And for those of you who have been having start times and really you have been asking this question, when are we coming back? I must tell you, we are very soon we shall be able to bounce back. We are looking forward to correcting them to that, and hopefully we shall bounce back. I don't know when, but I must assure you that it will happen. So we need to be patient as we continue rectifying on that, because really that question has been there very much. So I think I also feel I need to let you know of it. And now yesterday the IGAD members described war, South Sudan war, as unjust, because really the meeting that did take place yesterday, that is for this group of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development on Thursday, that was convened, was yesterday. It's 42nd Extraordinary Assembly of Heads of State and Government, hosted by Uganda's President, that is President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, at the State House in Entebbe. And this was actually a meeting that was supposed to also really draw that is solutions to some of the issues that affect our African states. So I think the President, through his wisdom, was also able to really ensure that this meeting goes on very safely, and that is one thing also we really know him for. And maybe he is one person that we should also now start calling when African states are having problems, because he has really showed his ability in terms of that is solving problems, that is for the African states, and in terms of also ensuring that unity reigns among these African states. And really that is something that we really also commend the President for, and really for raising our flag very much high, because we are talking about these events. These are events that are covered at international level, and the whole world is aware that certain activity is happening in Uganda at this time. So I think it is very, very much important. It also raises our flag very high, and so that also people who do not know about Uganda can actually also get the love and come back and want to understand of what is really happening. And now the meeting that was chaired by Djibouti President Ismail Omar Gula was also, who is also IGAD Head of State and Government Chairperson. Other heads on state in attendance, we are William Ruto of Kenya, Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud of Somalia, and Salva Kiir Mayardit of South Sudan. So calls for unconditional ceasefire in a joint communique issued on January 18th. The leaders decried the Sudan wars as unjust and underscored that the Republic of Sudan belongs to its people, urging an immediate and unconditional ceasefire to end the war. Remember, Sudan, that is the North Sudan, as we usually call it, is still having wars. So I think these wars are still going on, and that they are having negative impacts. Remember, wars are something that never good. The results of war is something that we must really condemn. And if you want to really understand that war is something not good, I want to encourage you to interact with the refugees. We have quite many of them in Uganda, and this is for people who are watching us from within Uganda. Try interact with them. We have so many refugees to share the experiences of wars with you, then definitely you will never actually want to see war, and that will be one reason you will never condemn. You will always condemn war, and you will never welcome war, and you will always want peace to reign. Look at this, the refugees that we have in this country, the South Sudanese. We have them here. We have the Somalis that are with us. These are actually people who came as refugees. We have even Congolese that are with us here, even in West Nile. There are quite many here. You need to try and have time with them and ask them how dangerous war is. Then definitely you will be able to have a feeling of not wanting war. And then that is when you also understand that war is something that is never good. So I think I want to encourage everybody to really treasure the peace that we have. And during the IGAD sitting yesterday, the members also reiterated the call for dialogue and negotiation, extending IGAD's readiness and facilitate an exclusive peace process and collaborating closely with all Sudanese stakeholders, the African Union and the international actors. So I think dialogue really is one way that we shall be able to ensure that peace reigns, because without dialogue really, then peace will not reign. We shall be able to use other forces that we continue talking about. We shall be able to also really see to it that we use excessive force that may not be good, because really once we start not talking about ourselves, for one person to really understand your grievances, you need to sit down and talk amicably and resolve these issues, because once you sit down with the people that whom I think, if you do so, then this person is going to echo out their grievances to you, and then you're also going to echo yours as well, and with that you find the proper means of really resolving these issues without necessarily resulting into the bloodshed that we did see in Sudan, and where we also did see people being thrown out of their country, and some of these people have actually been moved into the neighboring countries for safety, and which also has its negative impacts. Because really look at these vulnerable people who are being evacuated, the young girls and the young children, the young boys. These are the children really who are the future leaders, but because of war they have to leave their countries and move into another country, which may also come with its negative impacts. Because really, if you were to talk about war, really, I must also tell you, ask your parents, one story that they will be able to tell you is about wars. It is about life in exile, maybe in South Sudan or DRC. Because while really growing up, one of the stories that my grandmother used to very much tell me of is the story of life in exile, which was really quite nasty, because really it was quite shocking, where we did see them talking about people being shot just like that, where they did lose their loved ones like that. Some of them have never been buried up to now. We do not know actually where their bodies went, and we just lost them like that. And that is the dangerous part of war. So I think we must all condemn war. We must never support. So looking ahead, the head of states proposed a face-to-face meeting between Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the leader of Sudanese armed forces, that is SAF, and Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, a better known as Hamedit, the head of paramilitary rapid support forces, within 14 days to initiate reconciliation. Because really reconciliation is something that we need to ensure that happens, because once these leaders do not sit down, then definitely we are bound to be seeing people still continuing with the war, and then the war will continue, because really it affects development. One dangerous thing about war that I feel I should also not leave out is it pushes away development, because investors who would want to invest in certain country will also fear for their monies maybe disappearing like that, and then that limits them from also coming to invest in these countries. So I think that is something that that was discussed in yesterday's IGAD meeting. So I think the president actually also did comment about this, and say the problem to African problem is the issue of ideological bankruptcy, and that means that as African states we still do not know what we are supposed to be doing, and then maybe what exactly we need to do as people of this nation, maybe to move out of the poverty that we continue swinging in. So I think that is something that we also really expect them to discuss. We expect the head of states to also share knowledge about, and then with that, then definitely we shall be able to also see people sharing knowledge here and there, and then putting the differences aside, and that at the end of the day may also really impact on the development, and then also improve on peace, because really peace building is something that we must ensure that we really also take part in, because reconciliation is actually a process to peace building, because really peace building is something that we really need to ensure that happens, because once wars happen, then what next? Because really conflicts actually in most cases deter the peace that we do enjoy, because really if we do not ensure that happens, then definitely we shall be able to also not reign very much important there, and that will also really deter the development. So I think addressing the media, the president of Uganda, President Museveni, noted that the leaders throughout their decisions resolved that the conflicting parties must stop and he called the war unprincipled. So I think he called really for the leaders who are involved, because this is a rebel and the government in power who are fighting, and he called upon them to actually stop the war. It is not good. So I think while sharing that, and we really expect that to also really happen, because really through his wisdom, he's a wise man. Look at his age. Really, he is one person that people of this nation, people of Africa, respect very much. And really, we also expect these discussions to yield fruits, because sometimes they may remain there, and then people may be able to continue with what they are continuing to do, and that will definitely not be good, because really these discussions are there to ensure that there is peace and ensuring that there's reconciliation, because really without reconciliation, then definitely people are going to be seeing cases of these issues rising here and there. So I think he called upon these people to really leave these stations. On the other hand, the leaders issued a resounding call for peace and dialogue, urging the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and Federal Republic of Somalia to de-escalate the tensions and embrace constructive dialogue. Because yesterday I did tell you about the IGAD summit actually sitting to resolve the conflict that is between Ethiopia and their neighbors Somalia, because these issues are rising over the Somaliland, which wants to really break away, and that would actually also not have an impact again on the two countries. So that was also going to really cause problems. So furthermore, the head of states reaffirmed that the commitment to the cardinal principles of respecting sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Somalia is something that needs to be ensured. So IGAD, which is headquartered in Djibouti, is eight-country trade bloc in Africa that includes governments from the Horn of Africa, the Nile Valley and the Great African Lakes. And if you talk about the Horn of Africa, these are states that really have, Somalia is part of them. Really, Somalia actually belongs to the Horn of Africa, and this is where these countries come in. So I think with that, really, we are running out of time, and we cannot be able to continue with the discussions from here, as we have to also pave way for the AOL as a news team to prepare and also give you what is happening in the world of AOL. And really today, I want to thank you, whoever commented and really shared your opinions on some of the discussions and insights that we really did share here and there with you, and we really appreciate them. And as West Nile Television, we are there to do that. We are there to enlighten the region, and with that, really, we must also really appreciate you very, very much. Twaha Wachawaseme, thank you so much for watching us. We have seen your comment. Janab Media Services, thank you so much. I do appreciate you. Mahad Rashid, I do not forget you. Ramadan Hussein Amando, good work in West Nile, thank you so much. We do appreciate that comment. Bebin Ernest Baradino, I do appreciate you as well. And not forgetting Edmond Auxiliary, I must also really commend you for watching the television and really also sharing your ideas and really also being part of the show. And that is the Kokoliriko live show that comes your ways every Mondays to Fridays. And today I've been Farish Majid, and I must say it was a great pleasure being with you from the hour of, that is 7 a.m. till this hour of the morning. And today marks the end of the Kokoliriko live show for this week, and we shall be able to return on Monday, and this is where also we shall be able to give you maybe what transpires over the weekend. So I think on Monday, come Monday next week, inshallah, we shall be able to also really share with you a lot of issues that may also be having impact on you. So with that, really allow me stop here with today's discussion as I pave way for the AOL as a news team with Mukulia Lawrence to also really let you know of what is happening. And this is for the Lugbara speaking community. For now, I'm out.